You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Smirnoff knows there's no I in football. Football is a we thing, an experience that is best enjoyed together with good drinks and good people. Smirnoff is the world's #1 vodka and is an official vodka partner of the NFL. And this year, Smirnoff is giving fans in select areas of the country a chance to win the ultimate game day experience. From tickets to sideline passes and much more, just head to WeDoGameDays.com until November 15, 2024 to enter for your chance to win. That's WeDoGameDays.com. Smirnoff, we do game days.
Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age. No purchase necessary. 21 plus. Ends November 15, 2024. See rules at website for participating area and other important details. Sponsored by Diageo Americas Inc., New York, New York.
It feels like you can get your credit scores anywhere these days. Random websites, card statements, budgeting apps, heck, even your dog might bark out a few numbers. It's true. Credit Karma isn't the only place you can find them. But we actually do more with your scores to help you find your next financial opportunity. Like a more rewarding credit card, a game plan that helps you pay down debt faster, or a personal loan to help you save more on interest payments each month. Cha-ching! The possibilities are kinda endless. Download Intuit Credit Karma today to get started.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast. All right, it is time for Thursday Thunder, which is brought to you by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Mike, take it away.
Hit me with another spare, Roy.
I don't think Roy's enthusiasm is what it needs to be to, like, this is a sponsored segment. We're in a contract year. Roy sounded somewhere between bored and indifferent as Jessica 8. I'm just saying.
Thank you. I like the dark lipstick too.
We're in a We're in a contract year.
I think Dan gets that joke.
Yeah, you got it.
I think you got it.
We're in a I shouldn't have broken character. We are in a contract year, and I need enthusiasm for these sponsored gambling segments.
Thursday Thunder is brought to you by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Mike, take it away.
Thank you for your enthusiasm there because this one needs it because, look, hey, it's a good game. It's a solid game, but there are a lot of variables here that aren't conducive to making this segment happen in the morning. So there's a lot of questionable dudes out there. Like TJ Hawkinson, is he going to play? Cooper Kupp, is he going to play? That kind of changes things. So we really scoured the props available here on DraftKings Sportsbook, and this is what we cooked up at plus 500, a 3-pick parlay. We're going to Marcus Robinson over 26.5 yards receiving.
Who's he play for?
The Rams.
Okay.
Pretty sure he's a Ram. Then we're going Tutu Atwell over 37.5 yards receiving. And to close this, I told you this is a doozy.
Why are you laughing, Tony?
Because
it was hard.
Not only was it difficult, if Cooper Kupp does end up playing, and if Puka Nacua, who's also questionable, ends up playing, then we're kind of cooked. But we don't know yet because it hasn't been released yet.
But the good thing about Tutu and DeMarcus Robinson is all you need is one play.
Right.
With those guys. They usually stretch the field. And finally, in closing, Jalen Naylor, 25 yards or over receiving.
You love Naylor.
I barely know her.
You've been betting Naylor all season. You love prop bets. It seems to me you've been doing well on prop bets.
You've been doing all right. The super followers have been eaten. Not as well as Jess, but eaten.
Jessica looks like she has put together a very nice breakfast, lunch, healthy. Is there some avocado in there? That seems the gluten-free.
Salmon.
Yes, that seems you've put together all the right combinations. I wanted
gluten-free avocado.
I wanted to ask. That's not the gluten-free part. The gluten-free bread is what she's doing there on the avocado toast. The thing that I wanted to ask you guys, because Izzy just knocked me. Izzy knocked me off of my center the moment that he decided to answer the door in his underwear. I don't understand why he's doing that. And so,
can we tell people that I didn't actually answer any door here in my underwear? I just do that to the Uber Eats who knock on my door.
You a boxer briefs guy or a briefs guy?
Depends.
It seems to me like
You're the pins guy. Wow.
Option C.
it seems to me like that should be a crime to answer the door in your underwear when an Uber driver is approaching.
Not if you're put together like this guy.
No, I think that makes it even more criminal, I would say, not less criminal. The thing that I wanted to ask you guys is this: are either of these things happening to you right now? Are you, and I don't know which one might be happening worse, are you getting inundated more by political texts that are just burying your phone, or invitations to join class action suits?
No, it's the political text. It's the silly season right now, so it's just flooding in.
Yeah, and it's not ones that I typically agree with because I'm still a registered Republican. So the way that I scream representative I scream in caps stop. But I have joined a class action lawsuit as well, and I got quite a hefty little payout on one.
I had a thought yesterday that I was early voting. What if you could opt out of all political ads and text messages if you early voted? Because we're going to have a couple more weeks of this. And right now, doesn't affect me anymore. I'm not changing my vote. It's too late. Yeah. Dan, also, Willow's crying because she wants my smoked salmon. My friend received a hefty payout from a class action lawsuit settlement with Juul last week. And
singer?
The vapes that were accused of marketing themselves to
I was going to say, because she lived in her car for once. That's kind of sinister.
I get emails from random law firms sometimes telling me to sign up for a class action lawsuit that, I got one for a software company a few weeks ago. And my thought is always, well, I've been conditioned my whole life to not reply to these emails in case they're phishing emails, right? Because how would they have gotten my email address? And I don't want to give them my information and all this. But my friend got $600 last week from Juul.
Whoa!
Wow.
And I saw some people got $3,000. Now those people were probably using a lot of
Juul
pods, but that's a not insignificant amount of money.
I got a streaming service that I signed up for. I'll protect these people. I won't say it. It was Shudder. And they had they use your data for something that wasn't disclosed in the terms. And I vetted the email. I Googled, is this a real thing? And it was join this class action lawsuit. And I'm like, well, I don't like them giving up my data for something that I didn't say they could have my data for. So I opted in. Several months later, got a payout. $8.64 direct deposit.
So with the class action lawsuit, I'm just trying to do some mental math here. Do you have to prove that you smoked Juul? Do you have to have receipts? What's the deal with that? Can I join even though I didn't smoke them and be like, I need it for sure?
I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I think they perhaps identify customers prior to the settlement, and then you're eligible for it if you've purchased it.
What if I bought in cash? No trace?
Legal tender.
It's the same thing with the Meta class action lawsuit. That was $725 million that people signed up for, and it's been delayed. The payout has been delayed.
But that's what I'm always thinking when I see these things. It's I'm going to get a $5 check. I don't need to go through with this. I don't want my name to be involved in something. But Jess's friend, was it Charlotte?
Priya.
Jess's friend, Priya, excuse me. I don't know what the amount was. Did you say the amount?
$600. And according to the New York Times, if you didn't have a receipt, your recovery was capped at $300. That's still a lot of money.
Free $300 there, Dan.
I want to be friends with the person that kept a receipt for a Juul they got several years ago.
I think that we have more commonalities than we think in a divided America. And I think that these things I'm about to say are so. Okay? I think we all sort of react to class action invitation suits that way, which is with skepticism. Are they trying to get my information? What's happening here? Should I join? Maybe not everyone is skeptical about this, but there's so much happening right now in content consumption and what people reach you. They have all of your information. They want more of your information. I also think another place that we have a connection point, you tell me if I'm wrong about this because it came up earlier, the 7-day trial now that streaming services have. No matter your amount of money, you you're hesitant to check in on the 7-day trial because you don't trust yourself to cancel within 7 days, and you're a little scared that too many people are bombarding you from too many different ways trying to get your $9.99. And I think we all have this stuff in common as humans, and I think we need to concentrate in these next 12 days especially on the places that we have in common as humans.
Stugotz has to be an expert on that trial situation. He knows exactly when to get out of there.
I think this is the only reason for calendars to still exist. You have to mark it down when you had started your free trial and when you have to cancel it. I'm a fan of ordering and canceling immediately. But even then, sometimes I forget. So you've got to mark it down. I believe one time I realized I was paying for Showtime for like 6 straight months, and I was like, dang it, I missed that one.
I bought a TV recently, and Best Buy did this thing where, like, if you bought a TV online, you can get Apple TV for 3 months for free. You just have to sign up for it. And I was like, oh, perfect. I can watch Bad Monkey. Like, there's a couple new shows, Slow Horse, I want to get into. But the problem is, that was like 2 months ago. I didn't write down exactly when I needed to cancel.
That's how they get you.
So now I'm like, damn. They have all my information because I have an iPhone and like everything's hooked up through my Apple ID. I don't exactly know when to cancel. So I don't know if I should cancel it now and just get rid of it, or actually get into the shows, be able to watch it, and then cancel.
Well, can we start a class action lawsuit against Apple TV? Because Mike informed me the other day that MLS is now free with the Apple subscription. I've paid for that damn thing for 2 seasons now. I'm pretty sure for this season
we're
as well.
a content company. We really can't be suing anybody. In fact, I just cooked a doc I was trying to pitch to Shudder.
I did see that the FTC was trying to create a new rule that it would be easier to cancel things.
One click, yeah.
Yeah, click to cancel. So if you had a gym membership, have you guys ever had to go through leaps and bounds to cancel a gym membership?
Why would you cancel a gym membership?
Because you move out of the state. Izzy, Mr. Pumping Iron
You got
all
to
the
get the
time.
national.
That's why you get the
membership.
national chain.
Mr. Soul Cycle, date
Mr.
goer.
answers the door on Uber drivers in his underwear.
We get
Knock
it.
on my
you
door,
are
man.
strong. We get it. You have big muscles. We get us. Show us your belly button.
I want 2 questions for you guys to answer here. I want to know what it is that will make you, what will tempt you enough to ignore your disorganization and calendars and sign up for the 7-day trial because, damn it, I have to see that now and I cannot wait, and I don't
Murder,
want
She Wrote.
my access denied, because one of the key things in sales is deny people something they really want, make it something that, and they'll want it
And
more.
that's how you pay for Panthers Plus.
And that's how you get stuck with that stuff. And also, and harder to come by, and it's why newspapers are dead. What's an article that makes you need it so much that you're going to subscribe behind a paywall?
I just did it today.
Did you?
I did it today. There was a New York Times opinion piece, and it was, let's say, anti-Trump, even though it was just factual. And I signed up because I was like, okay, that is a free trial I can go for. I think it was like $1 a week for like 6 months. So it's $4 a month. And I'm like, you know what? I don't really trust the New York Times, but I will give them $4 a month.
Yeah, it would have to be digital newspapers on that one, like all the important news. But although I do believe that all the election stuff, all the election articles should be free for the public. But
I will say, though, article, not that good.
So they got you. They got your ass.
Yeah, they got me for $4.
You got suckered, I think, on something that you have a lower threshold than most. I think Tony's going to be the toughest one in here, and to get a single dollar from him anywhere.
I would say maybe fantasy football stuff. Like there's some specific websites that have like a little bit more analytical kind of info that I would like to see, because the problem is they don't give that away. It's behind the paywall. But I've also learned how to skirt out of that too. So I would pay for that, but I have some people that have hooked me up. Shout out to my boy Adam, by the way.
Jessica, where is it that you might get lured
She
in?
Wrote.
That's the only one? Just Murder, She Wrote on CBS?
Columbo?
I figured you already had CBS. I figured that you brought their demo down. You are by 60 years the lowest of the demo on CBS and Murder, She Wrote.
I'm at the end of season 1 right now. It's really remarkable how Jessica Fletcher just becomes such an overnight sensation. No one's ever heard of her, and then her debut novel comes out, and all of a sudden, the whole world, people recognize her walking down the street in Manhattan. It's crazy.
Do you have any connection point with people your age on something like Columbo? Like, do you run into anybody else your age who actually wants to discuss your desire to watch Columbo, the old 1970s detective show, pre-internet?
My sister?
So that's it, right? There's nobody. Your interests here.
Willow. She'll talk to me about
Your
it.
interest in CBS programming at your age is super strange. You're not finding connection points with anybody else here your age, correct?
Well, more people want to talk about Columbo than baseball, Dan. So.
Well, I've got that problem because Jeremy, I'm with you on this. I'm with you.
Why did they
on
wait
this.
till Friday, man? If it started yesterday, I would have been in. I would have watched the first 2 games, no doubt. But they're starting this on a Friday. I got things to do. Saturday's Miami.
Billy was
FSU.
saying
I'm
that
doing
all
this.
week. Billy was saying on Monday, baseball, you cannot wait until Friday here. You have the stage this week. You could have grabbed it. Nobody cares about the Rams Thursday night game. Give people Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani.
A few people might have Thursday Thunder
Exactly right.
I think I have a connection point to Giancarlo Stanton because he was a Marlin, and I really want to see him win. But I'm so detached from baseball that Mike Ryan Ruiz called Giancarlo Stanton Mike Stanton recently, and I was like, oh yeah, that was his name, and I didn't even remember that, and I was a fan of him at the time.
Hey everyone, it's Mike Ryan. We here at the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz are excited to partner with Miller Lite to let you, our loyal audience, play along with one of our most popular segments we have, Weekend Observations, presented by Miller Lite. On October 21st, you will be able to go to DraftKings.com in order to make guesses on what will happen during the Weekend Observations segment on Tuesday, October 29th. How many beeps will there be? Will Stugotz swear? Who will be the first person to interrupt Stu? Oh, the winner? Yeah, the winner gets a trip for you and a guest to come to Miami and hang out with us at Flanagan's for a Thursday night football game on November 21st. Oh, and you get to see a taping of the show. Make sure you go to DraftKings and play free to win. And then tune into the show and check how you did. Look forward to seeing you. Or not, since only one of you will win. But the one that does, it's going to be fun. Make sure to enter. Must be 21 plus to enter. Eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details.
Ladies and gentlemen, the NBA is finally back, and a new season means new ways to get into the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Who's draining threes from beyond the arc? Who's crashing the boards and grabbing rebounds? Get behind your favorite players and the prop bets you can make on DraftKings, the home of NBA player props. First time, new DraftKings customers bet just $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Every point counts at DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code DAN, that's code DAN, D-A-N, for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Dan Le Batard.
Did someone say conservative entity?
Wow! No! What? Oh, see, this is why.
Stugotz.
Hers was better than mine.
In the fifth Sagaki.
Yours was flooding.
How is the fifth Sagaki better than the third and the fourth Sagaki already?
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
This World Series, to me,
It was pre-internet.
it conjures a time pre-internet for me, nostalgically, that gets touched so infrequently by sports these days because we're consuming so much of it, and it is a bombardment where, hey, look, can we get to the WNBA championship in the middle of a football Sunday? How do we forget about college football already on Saturday? Because all of this programming is inundating you. And I'm telling you, this World Series brings me back to a child when it was the most amazing thing in the world that I could watch these two teams on my television play baseball because I didn't have access to everything. And everything national wasn't regional. And everything regional wasn't national. I'm telling you that this World Series for me harkens a childlike innocence about my sports fandom where I'm like, oh, shit. I get all the baseball, the best of the baseball, and none of the randomness. They got all of the bullshit out of here, and it's just the two teams that spend the most, who want my dollars the most. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not how I viewed sports when I was 9 years old.
But doesn't Miami FSU do that for you too?
No.
Because it's on at the same time.
Dan,
yeah, that's the problem.
That's super cute. And if I may break character for a second, I'm very excited for this World Series. And I'm wondering if Marlins fans will feel more upset if the Yankees win it, given the Marlins' connection to several players, and if so, that could be a reason for me to root for the Yankees, perhaps.
This is the best storyline in the World Series. Miguel Rojas against Jazz Chisholm Jr.
What? Who?
It's unbelievable. The bitter rivalry between those two players.
I saw a video of Rojas explaining how to hit to Ohtani. I'm I'm out on this guy.
It's insane.
I think I've made my selection on who I'm going to back in the World Series. El Alfa, obviously Dembo legend out of DR, has a song called the Soto Shuffle. So I think I'm siding with the Yankees. Tony Pinstripes.
Tony Pinstripes?
Dan, what is it about the actual game? It's the stars, right? I get the names, but during the game, are you like wowed by pitches? Are you enamored with, a certain swing that a guy...
No, well, what I would say to you is that baseball has gotten to such a ridiculous skill level that when I'm watching Juan Soto bat, I'm watching somebody who's got a plate discipline that I don't understand, because everybody who's throwing baseballs 3 inches outside the strike zone is throwing 98 miles an hour. And so the expertise I'm watching is better baseball players by leaps and bounds than any I've ever seen, because of where the science of the game has gotten to. And these guys are all or nothing about whether or not they can hit a home run on that 1-0-2 pitch that Stanton gets. Don't understand why anyone doesn't just throw it low and outside on him, outside the strike zone.
It drives me insane.
I don't understand how he ever hits an 0-2 home run, because he should swing and miss by 6 feet. He's so easy to pitch to, it seems like to me.
Well, I think that's why if you weren't a baseball just seam head growing up, you might not have that connection point, because you're looking on the screen. You don't know the storylines. You're just looking on the screen for something to keep me entertained. And the other day, I was watching 3 TVs on whatever, bottom left corner, and Anthony, who does not watch baseball at all but played baseball, just kind of caught a pitch out of the corner of his eye, and it's like, holy crap, that was a ridiculous pitch. And I was like, it just kind of sort of sparked a little light bulb over my head. I was like, well, if you actually watch these days, you might see that all the time and be enamored by it and just fall in love with the sport.
The reason, look, I've said this before about baseball. It's always been my favorite sport. It was my favorite sport growing up. And I was buying all those baseball abstracts because I was trying to figure out how it is they measured value in that sport. As I've watched sports over the last 30 years, 2 things that have happened in basketball and football is those people are so good at what they're doing and the way that they strategize that I don't have a way to keep up with what Eric Spoelstra is doing. It's too complicated for me. I don't totally understand what Mike McDaniel is doing. But in baseball, I have a decent idea, because of how they've done the measurement over the last 30 years, of what the manager is doing. And so what I'm appreciating about baseball is this thing I've always loved has gotten to a skill level where all of the people have all of the information they need, so that what used to be a line drive over second base, now the shortstop's always there, because these people know how to play them scientifically and have all sorts of probabilities on where a ball is going to be hit. The expertise I'm watching in baseball, to have the 2 best teams play it, to have both pitching staffs sort of broken so the home run hitters can be home run hitters, it makes it a World Series for all time. For me to watch it, my love of baseball is such that this one has the storylines and all the soap opera stuff and all of the excellence in, like, Stanton can hit a home run once every 4 at-bats, because that he's made of materials and muscles that have perfected that sport and made the evolution of it such that guy can always hit a ball 450 feet or strike out missing a pitch by 6 feet.
It's also interesting watching a chess match between managers, because they have to deal with the rule changes now, with pitchers having to face 3 batters minimum. Like, that's really interesting.
The relievers are now all throwing like the all-stars you saw through your childhood. And if not, they're even nastier. And so now you have this combination where it feels like, particularly with these 2 teams and the stars that are across each lineup, like you're watching an all-star game every time, because every inning you're turning around and there's another guy throwing 101 miles an hour with a 2-foot break on a two-seam and then hooking a slider around the other corner, and he's going up against one of the greatest hitters you've ever seen. This World Series is just so full of talent.
We just saw Barack Obama say that the NBA All-Star Game has lost it. This is an All-Star Game in baseball for all the marbles.
It actually means something.
Yeah, but it's a get-right game for the Trojans because Lincoln Riley's been having a rough year, and you can't lose to Rutgers at home. They haven't won a game since they beat Wisconsin 38-21 in like week 4. And some people are saying beating Wisconsin might be a program killer because look at what happened to Alabama.
I wish the World Series had started tonight, but if it had, Tony and Mike would be arguing about Cooper Kupp instead of watching.
Was he going to play or is he not going to play?
Are they going to trade him?
Here's what's going to happen.
That's the other thing. Where's Puka?
I'm going to channel surf. I'm going to land on the World Series, and I'm going to realize, oh, this is fun, and I'm only going to like it when the Yankees play the Dodgers.
Lakers Suns is that night too, I think.
Ooh. I mean, UNLV and Boise. If you want,
Genty's must-watch TV.
If you want to watch a quick preview of that on Gen CFB.
Jazz.
Your show?
It's your Jazz.
Who's Jazz?
It was so much easier when it was foot.
And Lucy was off this week, so Gojo came on, and we did a preview of that, a little Notre Dame and Navy preview. He's been in that rivalry before. He's played in that game. There's no one else you'd rather hear on.
We have 2 CFP eliminators this week.
CFP?
Yes. Well, this was the argument. Stugotz, I don't want all these mega conferences because people like to make the argument, less good games. That's what I like. So we have 2 games that are essentially CFP eliminators. Boise, UNLV, 3.5-point spread there. Genty spotlight game. And you also have Missouri versus Alabama, CFP eliminator game. The playoffs do exist in the regular season the way that they existed before. They just have like 2 losses in the L column. Okay, that's a better pivot, and that's a sacrifice that we make to get games like Ohio State at Oregon.
I'll give you one more. Vanderbilt, Texas. I mean,
well,
put the kids to sleep
what are you covering in Gen CFB?
The CFP.
The reason that I asked the question is because I wanted to know whether we have coverage in today's show of hashtag FSU week or not. Do we have coverage in today's show on why it is and where it is hashtag FSU week is trending?
Not going to lie, we haven't talked a lot about the Miami Hurricanes on Gen CFB this year.
Why is that?
Because they've been winning. Because there's really been nothing interesting to talk about. And we already talk about them enough on this show. So, Mike, take it away.
We don't. We don't talk about them on this show.
And it's plenty.
I had to buy into another company to be able to talk about the Miami Hurricanes football team. But yeah, we don't talk about them because they're winning and doing their job. But FSU historically always means something, even when those 2 programs are middling. One of them is, well, not even middling. They're bottoming.
Hey-o. So nobody's with me that Genty has an unfair advantage at home games because he's camouflaged into the field?
No, I like that take. I think if I'm Travis Hunter, that's what I'm going with for the rest of the season.
Miami's wearing black uniforms. They have that black backdrop on the field. Keep an eye on extra interceptions.
Let me talk about this for a second, Mike, because it is going to get in the way of my World Series viewing because, yes, UM-FSU still does mean something to me. UM-FSU week still does mean something
I get it now.
To me, because we have Bobby Bowden. These 2 programs fought at the top of the sport. They were Alabama and Georgia before Alabama and Georgia, and it harkens to a different time. But whether we've talked enough about Miami or not, I believe the general national perception on Miami, given the way the games have gone, is some form of they haven't played anybody. I don't believe in that undefeated, even though they can score against anybody because their quarterback is obviously elite. Earlier this week, and I didn't hear from you on this, and I am curious, and I'm curious what Jessica has to say about this as well. Earlier this week, I said, having seen all of the University of Miami quarterbacks, Jim Kelly, Gino Torretta, they've had the 3 first-round picks. It's Bernie Kosar, Vinny Testaverde, and Jim Kelly are the first-round picks. I said Cam Ward's the best college quarterback in their history. It doesn't mean he'll be the best pro. Statistically, it's going to be inarguable. He's going to break all the records. We have to do new math for new offensive evolution. But at the position, and I don't even know if Jess remembers, once upon a time, allegedly, the University of Miami was called quarterback U.
Yeah. 2 Heisman Trophy winners at the position.
This is the best quarterback that they've ever had playing statistically in college. It cannot be argued. It's not even close. How much of the math do I have to alter for today's offense to dilute that? Because I don't think anyone can object to what I'm saying, even though Cam Ward, as a professional talent, is maybe he's a number one, maybe he's a first-round pick, but I don't think of him as a pro the way I'm watching him play in college and saying that's among the best college quarterbacks I've ever seen. Jameis Winston, Danny Werfel, whatever it is you do with system, time, and place, that guy can make offense against anybody.
When you had the take, it kind of summed me a little bit because I hadn't heard like a traditional media star come out with that take. I've seen people on the internet venture into a forum and say, I think he's the best Miami quarterback of all time. And it's an interesting rhetorical trick because Miami has, even though they've won 5 natties, they haven't had, and they've had 2 Heisman Trophy winners, they aren't really known as a school that's put out great quarterbacks. Despite that QBU thing, those weren't guys that did much in the NFL. Testaverde took them
by talent.
Testaverde was arguably a bust until he figured it out later in his career. I actually think you're on to something, because this quarterback will, in all likelihood, get drafted in the upper first round. He's only 13 passing touchdowns away from setting the combined FBS, FCS, NCAA record for passing touchdowns. Jeremy and I broke down that there's a scenario in which Dylan Gabriel and Cam Ward can meet up in the playoffs, later in the playoffs, and not only have that game at stake, but also the all-time passing record, combined FCS, FBS on the line as well. I think you're kind of right. Ken Dorsey, here's where you can push back on. For me, Testaverde, it's hard to not hold against him that interception performance that he had against Penn State. But that team did win.
In the national championship game, he threw 5 interceptions. Jimmy Johnson's greatest regret as a coach is that he didn't run the ball more in that game.
So Testaverde, for me, Kozar, Testaverde, Dorsey, that's the top tier of Miami football. I think if Miami turns this thing around, gets to the CFP, perhaps wins an ACC championship, then you can invoke that. But I think the position at Miami is so tied to success on the field, not just individual success, that he has to do things like get to New York for the Heisman ceremony and has to do some winning for Miami to be in that class.
I will tell you, because I think the national perception of this is simply Miami has not played anybody. So I reduce all of what those stats are. I don't care that statistically he's putting up more big games to start a career back to back to back than anyone has ever done.
It's fair. It's a fair criticism of Miami. I'll concede that. Their schedule hasn't put up a fight in the ways that you would hope when you saw it line up.
The way that Vinny Testaverde, though, won the Heisman Trophy is he had one play in a game against Oklahoma that everyone saw. His shoulder pad came out. Everyone saw him beat Oklahoma. Cam has 5 of those a game.
Right, and that's what I was going to say about this team and those other quarterbacks. And I don't know if I'm just doing this because I'm not as familiar with the skill position players now that I was when these other quarterbacks played, but watching the games, this is where you can't just look at the box score, it feels like Cam is leading them. It feels like those yards are gained because he is extending a play, finding a receiver, making just the right play at the right time, leading that group, and he just feels more responsible for the success than some of those other quarterbacks who, again, were just had talent all around them. They went from QBU to tight end U for a little bit because of the Shockey and Winslow stuff.
That one's it's interesting with Cam in that a lot of his great moments is he's digging himself out of a hole that he dug himself. And he's going to be a perplexing person for NFL front offices to break down, because even in that Louisville game, he missed 2 wide open house calls on like 9-yard slants. And then he turns around and throws that ball well into the back of the end zone, kind of like that play that he had at Gainesville week 1. He might get a GM fired, but a team's going to totally fall in love with his ability to not quit and make these unbelievable throws.
Do the Canes live in the same spot that we had the Dolphins in last year, where like any hole, I feel like I trust the Canes to get out of it?
Did we say that about the Dolphins last year?
Yeah. Or the Dolphins could be down 14. You're like, oh, okay,
After
no
that
biggie.
Ravens game.
Not
Their
me.
offense was good enough. Yeah, I think 35-10 against Cal does that.
Hey everyone, it's Mike Ryan. We here at the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz are excited to partner with Miller Lite to let you, our loyal audience, play along with one of our most popular segments we have, Weekend Observations, presented by Miller Lite. On October 21st, you will be able to go to DraftKings.com in order to make guesses on what will happen during the Weekend Observations segment on Tuesday, October 29th. How many beeps will there be? Will Stugotz swear? Who will be the first person to interrupt Stu? Oh, the winner? Yeah, the winner gets a trip for you and a guest to come to Miami and hang out with us at Flanagan's for a Thursday night football game on November 21st. Oh, and you get to see a taping of the show. Make sure you go to DraftKings and play free to win. And then tune into the show and check how you did. Look forward to seeing you. Or not, since only one of you will win. But the one that does, it's going to be fun. Make sure to enter. Must be 21 plus to enter. Eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details.